And welcome back, everybody. My name is McCormiel. With me is Cash. We've got our last match here on the Bravo stream for tonight, but that doesn't mean that this match is going to be any less special than the two Game 5s that we've already seen here on the Bravo stream. Of course, St. Edwards, Texas Tech, number 7 ranked St. Edwards, I should say. That's the proper introduction to give this team because they're an all-around star-studded roster looking to once again stay undefeated.
They definitely are, but who they're up against is not going to be a team that's going to go down quietly in Texas Tech. They definitely want to rival this squad, and as much as maybe a win here wouldn't shake things up too much, they want to show that they can hang with the best. So that's what Texas Tech is looking to do tonight in St. Edwards. They're just looking to have business as usual and close this one out.
Yeah, I mean, for Texas Tech, you still have TAMU Maroon on the schedule a little later on, but really you're playing more right now for the 3rd seed opposed to the top 2 seeds, because right now St. Edwards and Texas State, those are kind of the cream of the crop of this division, at least as current standings will tell us. And we already saw earlier on in the year, St. Edwards, Texas State, they played one another, and while that was an absolutely incredible matchup, that went to game number 5, round 11. But I mean, overall right now, St. Edwards, you climb over this hurdle right now, essentially you're looking at the number 1 seed for your division pretty much scot-free, and you can just kind of coast through and get some good practice in the rest of the way.
That's definitely the case for the squad, and if you're Texas Tech, they don't play down to their competition, so St. Edwards definitely have something to think about going into this one. They know Texas Tech is going to come and play to their caliber, and they know how good they are, so they know they're going to come out swinging, and this Texas Tech team is definitely going to try to rip a couple of maps on them. Just try to take this map count a little bit out of the hands of St. Edwards, make this a game, send it to a game 5, give themselves the best shot that they can. Like you said, playing for that top 3 spot. Does this really shake up the standings, whether it's a win or not? No, but Texas Tech more so playing for pride and to show themselves that they can hang here. So again, the undefeated S&D that we're seeing in Texas Tech, they're definitely going to be something we're looking at here as the series starts to go on.
Absolutely, and as Cash just alluded to, undefeated Texas Tech overall. We'll take a look at our head-to-head between both of these two teams. You can see for St. Edwards, it's been a fantastic season thus far. You're 6-0 overall, 10-1 in your hardpoints, 6-1 in the search and destroy, and of course in Control, another respawn mode, you're undefeated as well. Obviously, Control just comes into the rotation last week, so we only got to see the teams play those 2 matches last week to finally get some Control practice in a real league match under their belt. You look to the side, though, of Texas Tech, you can see on their side a little bit more of a struggle when it comes to hardpoint, but search and destroy has been their bread and butter. Cash, what makes this Texas Tech roster, at least right now, seem so good in just one mode?
For them, it's going to be, just especially looking at Island here for this squad, just going to be a big reason why their maps and modes have been competitive, especially in that search and destroy and how they found themselves undefeated. They have all of these contributions from the rest of the players as well, but the reason they found so much success is behind their leadership in those players and just being able to close these series out, knowing how they can play to these other teams' weaknesses and getting the job done in the map.
Take a look at St. Edwards' roster. Thresh, Eons, Vanity, and Reality. Thresh being the LATAM phenom that has not only given this roster an incredible boost, but has been a key factor in the continued success of the Hilltoppers roster throughout the entirety of the season thus far. And then you look to a player like Eons, who's been a picture-perfect complement to Thresh.
Definitely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Thresh and Eons are the 2 takeover players for the squad. Pretty glaringly obvious as far as the standout talent on this team, but you look at the other 2 players, can't forget them, in Vanity and Reality. They continue to show constant contribution, and they found to be crucial stepping stones to complete an incredibly talented roster in these 2 players. So in the supplementing roles, St. Edwards is lacking in no areas.
Well, lacking in no areas, no surprise, they come in at the 7th overall seed. But as we take a look to the side of the away team, aka Texas Tech, the team that comes in undefeated in Search and Destroy, you got Zane, Sipe, Storm, and Island. And as Cash alluded to earlier, Island being the mainstay player on this roster was a big reason why respawns were extremely competitive, not only against Texas State, but some of the opponents that they've played beforehand. We're going to look for those contributions to continue moving forward for Texas Tech. But, I mean, again, this roster, you look at the rest of the core, Sipe, Zane, Storm, all of these players have contributed in some way in series that we've seen and watched on our streams thus far. So I expect that to continue once again, but overall, just look for Island to kind of be that standout player, at least in respawns, as we go forward here throughout this best of 5 series. But I mean, Cash, overall, when we look at this kind of matchup as a whole, obviously, we said beforehand, St. Edwards, they're playing for that number 1 seed. They win this tonight. They kind of coast through everything else. For Texas Tech, all you have left to play in terms of the tougher opponents on your schedule is TAMU Maroon. but you're still going to be able to walk away with that 3rd seed most likely if you're able to beat Tampa Maroon. That's really the only obstacle that they have left.
It is the only thing left in your way, and of course that's nice to know if you're a squad. Again, looking at either side of this, that you're both walking away being able to finish and complete top 3 in the pool play. But of course, there's still so much to learn about the squads that you're going up against, and nothing to let off the gas about. Yeah, you may have a lock as far as your positions are concerned in the standings, but that's nothing to take lightly, and that should be no reason to take off the competitive edge, as both teams are going to come out here and try to take the other down.
Go ahead and take a look at what our map said as well. Berlin for Hardpoint in the Search and Destroy. We get a double dose to kick things off. Gavutu in the middle of a Tuscan sandwich to kick off the end of our series, but of course, it's if we have to get there. Signs could point to St. Edwards being able to close this out in a 3-0 series, but what an upset it would be if Texas Tech could take not only a map, but even a series off of this SEU roster.
Would be a huge upset, and again, just momentum to carry this team, knowing that, yeah, we're very much validated in this top 3 standings, and we can take maps and modes off of anyone. They showed that playing Texas State as competitively as they did, and then now with St. Edwards, they're looking to do the exact same thing.
Talking about map number 1 for the Berlin Hardpoint, the thing is with Texas Tech, we'll kind of talk about them first more than anything else, just real quick. The thing is, coming into this match, they've shown promising improvements to their respawn modes overall. They've had hardpoint wins versus Texas State. Those losses that they had to them were within 60 points in each of those games. And it not only is Texas State one of the teams that has taken respawns off of St. Edwards, but if you can learn from all the way back when they actually played Texas State to what they can learn now, going up against a very talented opponent, I think this Texas Tech roster could definitely turn a few heads today. But again, you're just trying to knock somebody who's at the top of their game down a peg. And this team doesn't play down to their competition either. When they play those lower teams in their division, they absolutely smack them. When they play the top teams, they want to compete just as much as the top teams want to stay undefeated and or keep the record extremely clean. So don't expect the Texas Tech roster to step away from this challenge. I feel like they're going to live in this moment.
They will, and it's exciting and refreshing seeing teams that step up to the competition. So often you see teams that maybe play down or have slower nights against competitions they should breeze by. But as you said, Texas Tech, the teams that they should handle, they have been. The teams that maybe should handle them, they end up giving a run for their money. So definitely a head-turning game tonight with Texas Tech going up against their toughest competition, not only in this pool play, but yet this season. And they can definitely make a statement here.
Keys to victory for St. Edwards. One of the things, continue dominating behind Thresh's slaying ability. We highlighted at top of show, and when we went into the roster for St. Edwards, Thresh has been that key player on the roster that not only continues to keep the pressure on throughout an entire series, but is going to be the influential player at every stretch and every corner of the map. You see rotations, spawns, kills, slaying, doesn't matter. Thresh will do it all for your roster. You just have to give him the situations to thrive. And when you pair that with Eons and the rest of the roster, it's exactly what you need. And finding your way around the map is going to be so crucial and so easy if you are this SEU roster. We'll hop into the hard point here, but for Texas Tech, just real quick, if you can't find a way to minimize Thresh's impact, just make Thresh earn the kills. And of course, in the search and destroys, you just got to try and find a hard point and control because your S&Ds are just a bit shaky.
Absolutely. We're going to kick things off here on Berlin, and as this P1 goes down, nearly 10 strike kill speed, as we're going to see this hold try to come in from the front on the side of St. Andrews. They're going to look to try to get in here and continue holding this time, keep these Texas Tech players back, and time going back and forth, about 10 to 15 seconds accrued if you are St. Edwards. A good way to get things going here, but definitely going to be a rotation battle we're going to be looking at as these last 20 seconds dwindle down, and Texas Tech look to be in control for the moment.
It was Reality who tried to get out early on the rotation, back over towards P2. Nurseman and Zane was able to lock that down. Eons inside of Fire will hop out over towards the tank, now making the way towards the money room. Storm just going to slide back around the corner. 35 seconds and counting now for St. Edwards. They're going to try and hop into P2. The break could come in oh so perfectly, as Eons is going to be sliding down the staircase. First 5 seconds will tick off. You're just trying to play for congestion here, and of course making sure you can get 3 to 4 down.
Great kill coming in from Island there, just again, fight for more of that map control, that point presence, and no time coming in. Down about 30 points here to start, but trying to just keep the slaying even, not letting this get out of hand and let St. Edwards get too warm. Is again, we're seeing most of this time go by uncontested, and if anyone's getting in, it has been St. Andrews here. Texas Tech looking to find some footing early. This P3 rotation going to be the way of St. Edwards, and with 25 seconds left, Texas Tech have one last break.
Try to push on in. Thresh 4 in a row to start things off here. You look for the rest of the players on Texas Tech to make the push. Snipe, long-range shot's going to be good enough for a glide bomb here. The St. Edwards have made their way towards that left portion of the map. It's once again a situation where Texas Tech doesn't have the rotations. They're going to have to break into a hungry squad that has 2 players on 5 in a row, both with glide bombs.
Streaks early on can be disastrous, especially on a map like Berlin, where even if you're at a hill where it's inside, at least you can get information related to your team, and you know a team like St. Edwards is going to look to capitalize on all communication and info coming in. So they've very much been in control of this hard point thus far, growing the lead out to 80 points here, and not looking to stray, as the kill feed has been blue and purple for quite some time, not looking to give Texas Tech any kind of life on this opening map. They're set up where they want, but Texas Tech, they're looking to make the break from this bottom side now.
8 straight kills from Reality, soaking up the hill time of the rest of the teammates. Now, as you see, Reality has already gotten out on the rotation. You've tried to break out, and you've done just that. Texas Tech will try to break in, maybe contest for these last bits of scrap time, but the biggest problem is you still haven't, I was going to say you still haven't dealt with Reality, but the Reality does fall in an off-screen engagement. So you have the spawns over towards P4, but again, you're down by over 100 points already in the game thus far. So the first break is going to be, at least for the initial time, but St. Edwards, all they have to do here is just execute on this flank play that they're already starting to make at the top portion of the minimap.
If they can do that, they can get those spawns locked in and make this P4 that much easier. Thresh is going to call in the glide bomb, not going to connect, but now these players for St. Edwards know exactly where they need to collapse to make this play work and get into this point, and they're just unable to get on the point for Texas Tech. They cannot get any of this time. They just have to worry about where these players are coming in from, and Thresh having his way around the map here early as they're able to thwart the play coming in from the backside. But again, if you're St. Edwards, you're keeping Texas Tech off the time, and if you're Texas Tech, this is time that you need to be getting because this lead's not getting any shorter.
Vanity from behind, clean shots into one. The second one will fall as well. See, the teammates are going to be spawning close. Everybody's starting to push out different lanes of the map. Nobody going to be able to contest really for a time here if you are Texas Tech. So St. Edwards get another big 20 seconds of time on the scraps. Rotation into P5. You see Storm's trying to walk up the staircase. Reality trying to clear out different angles. You have the information on where Sipe is. You're just wondering if he's going to push the staircase up towards you, or maybe just try to find his way back around the map. Either way, though, staying in the middle of the map, they're trying to go ahead and start making a pinch play on this player number 2. In Reality, up and towards the top of the mailroom. All this is going to try and surmount in one quick swooping break.
Texas Tech trying and starting to get warm behind Sipe. Making plays happen, but with all 4 players starting off as hot for St. Edwards as they have been, it's no wonder that they have a 115-point lead to get things going here on P5. Texas Tech finding more time than they have really this entire set of hard points thus far. So even for this P1, they're looking good to have that side of the map. But as I say that, Thresh is going to be the player on the flank to keep in mind. He loves to take these routes, love to make these plays, and as the team handling things in the mid-map, they're just going to look to cut things on this bottom side, pin these players back, and try to flip spawns behind Eons.
Sipe looking to make the cut out, but you got to look for player number 4. Eons should be able to read that there's going to be one more player from behind. Sipe, though, going to be able to win a one-on-one engagement. Thresh, a quick trade, and Zane will walk directly into the line of fire of Reality, who's now on 3 in a row, pairing that with Thresh's 3 streak. Looking back to the front, quick spawns are going to come in from Texas Tech. One player going to be wrapping around on the flank. Reality will get cut down. Streak still to use here for St. Edwards, but now trying to break in towards the point is going to be player number Storm. Player number 6 in Storm. And now Zane with a nade all the way across the map is 3 and 13 thus far, Cash. That does not bode well for good breaks, nor does it bode well for being able to play with the team.
And no, whenever you see slaying this top heavy, especially in an opening hard point, that's just another mountain and another hurdle that you have to climb just to be able to get back in this game. Is I'm not sure Texas Tech are going to be able to do it in this opening map. The least you can do for yourself, though, is try to get warm and try to get loose. Just unable to find footing and get any 4-down clearance. It's been 1 or 2 off kills here and unable to close out the rotation battle. So like you said, 3 and 15 stat line doesn't help. At this point, you're just trying to get warm, try to get your gun on some players, and see if you can get things going here.
Talk beforehand, Texas Tech coming into this game, this was a very, very big series that they had marked on their schedule. Number 1, obviously, St. Edwards is at the top seed inside of their division, but number 2, this was really their last big chance of the season to really make themselves known or give themselves a lot of credit. Find themselves top 3 later in the season. Glide bomb over the top. Right now, though, it has not looked all that good. If you're the side of Texas Tech, and if you're St. Edwards, I mean, if you're Coach Relk, you got to be happy with the way your squad is playing right now. 20-10 overall from Reality. Eon's 21. Vanity a 2-streak. Walks away with 4 HP. And the last one's going to be Zane pushing in from the middle. Guess who's there? It's Vanity to pop the last head of the player from Texas State off the rotation. They're still spawning on the right side of the minimap, not even close to the P3.
All 4 players starting off as well as they have for the St. Edwards squad. Again, like you said, if you're the coach, more than happy with this performance. As it seems like it's a battle for who can get the most kills. Everyone is really just showing out here. No weak links on the St. Edwards squad, which we alluded to earlier in our rundown. So Texas Tech said Island had to be the difference maker for this team. Sitting at 9-22 was definitely going to be performance. We're going to keep an eye on to see if he can turn that around as the series progresses. But to get things started here, just a bit too slow. St. Edwards, they came out, hit hard, and put this one away easily.
Trying to find the final break in towards the point. Texas Tech here. Right now, you're just playing not 50-point club. 100-point club seems all but inevitable at this point as well. And SDU, the break, starting, pinch, all the way over towards it. Reality traded in by Thresh. They're going to walk directly towards the front of Fire Island. Some beautiful shots there. Going to be able to tag up one. Storm around the corner. We'll pair for the second. Right now, Texas Tech, I mean, you would have loved to see energy like this from beforehand, but SCU, they're just solo pushing. They're just getting into the hill to try and find as little bit of time as they can. With 10 seconds left, you just got to focus on the rotation to get those final 3 seconds.
The inevitable just being delayed by Texas Tech. Like you said, I would have liked to have seen this life a little bit earlier on, but hey, at least it's showing that they're getting a little warmed up here, that they're trying to make magic happen. But with just a few seconds needed, St. Edwards will step on the point, count to 3, and call it a map number 1, as we're going to very quickly be in and out of Berlin. Fortunately for us, we're getting a double dose of it, because that one was really quick, Corn.
I think you framed that perfectly. Yeah, that was one of the quickest hard points, at least that I've seen thus far inside of Vanguard. SDU made extremely quick work on the side of Texas Tech, and that's not to say that Texas Tech isn't a good roster. It's just that's at least a testament that you have to bring to the table if you are St. Edwards to say, hey, this match secures us basically first seed throughout the rest of stage 1, going to put us in a really good position to get inside the top 3 later on as we go forward. But as we take a look at the statistics overall, you see Eon's 24-19, 25-13 from Reality, and surprising, I guess, to everybody, 19-10 from Thresh, who was actually the lowest slaying player on the side of St. Edwards there. You don't see that every day of the week. So, I mean, I guess technically a key to success was to shut down Thresh as much as you could. And I guess you did that.
You did, but to finish that point, yeah, you shut down Thresh. Eons can take over as well, and there's Eon sitting at 24-14 with almost 3,000 damage dealt. So once again, Texas Tech, if you can find an answer for one, you know another superstar is going to pop up and take over. That's exactly what Eons did, and that's what we expect. So, you know, you try to find an answer for one, maybe you take that as a win, right? Thresh had a pretty slow start at 19-10. That feels weird to say, but hey, a slow start nonetheless. Still doing well and exerting dominance on the map. Now can you find an answer for Eon? And if you're St. Edwards, I guess the key to victory coming in this, you know, you want to shut Island down. That's been their star player for Texas Tech. You can shut that player down. You should even more handily be able to take these maps. What do? They shut Island down. Eons excels. They're looking good to start.
Search and Destroy next up on the docket. As Cash alluded to beforehand, we are going back to Berlin for map 2. Biggest thing here, though, Texas Tech, the storyline coming into this game was that they are undefeated overall inside of the mode of Search and Destroy. Now, that's not just against some of the lower tiered opponents inside of their division. That's against rivals like Texas State, who, if you don't know or didn't watch the series, it was a 6-5 win for the side of Texas, or rather Texas Tech over Texas State. And that really allowed them to not only carry that momentum in Search and Destroy throughout the season, but that was kind of the biggest turning point of saying, okay, you know, maybe they're not the greatest when it comes to hardpoint, but if they can win their S&Ds against these really, really good teams, maybe steal a hardpoint, maybe steal that swing map and control, that's when you can start to see Texas Tech command series. So it wasn't a great looking map number 1. It's a 100-point club. There's no way that you can sugarcoat that, wrap that up in a gift basket and say, hey, you did great. There's nothing about that. Now you just got to go back to the drawing boards and say, map number 2, let's get it done.
Definitely. You go back to your bread and butter, what you're most comfortable in, and with how quick that Berlin was, you don't have much time to dwell on it, as we're going to be loading up into the Berlin S&D here, and definitely going to expect to see a much different look from this Texas Tech team. Like you said, They've played their hard points contested, that one against their stiffest competition, and not too competitive, but in the S&D, they have taken, like you mentioned, in that rivalry game between Texas State, took an S&D off there 6-5. So again, no strangers to being in uncomfortable situations, and I fully expect to see a completely different looking team here as they were getting warm at the tail end of that hard point. I expect to see a clean bounce back from them.
If you remember all the way back to the Vanguard CCL Open, it was a side of St. Edwards that was playing inside that took home third place. They actually lost inside of that twice to ASU. That was a 3-2 loss and a 3-1 loss overall, but the different roster. It was still Thresh and Eons on this roster, but you paired that with Kruk, and you also had Relk on that roster as well. That was a team that everybody kind of was assuming was going to be like, oh my god, this team is just disgusting. But as we know now, it's not those two players that are joining Thresh and Eons. It's now Reality and Vanity, who, at least in this series thus far, have showed amazing strategy, not with the way that they play around the map, but what they can do with the rest of the team. There's a lot of chemistry that is here on this SCU roster, and I would love to see the Hilltoppers be able to show that in Search and Destroy against a team that you can't really bat an eye at. Yeah, the Hardpoint wasn't close, we get that, but you cannot shortcome Texas Tech University roster when it comes to Search and Destroy. It's just something you simply can't do.
Absolutely cannot. And touching back on Vanity and Reality and the addition that they've brought to this roster and those supplementing roles, like you said, beyond what they're doing around the map, it's how they're working together as a team and the rapport that these players and the trust that they have in one another. Like you said, we saw that Thresh was one of the lowest slayers on the team for that hard point, and so Vanity and Reality very much pulling their weight and then some where they need to with the St. Edward squad. So you can't come into this discounting Texas Tech and the Search and Destroy. You know they're going to come out swinging and definitely going to come out taking some rounds. All you've got to do is be able to have those mid-round adjustments and be able to respond appropriately to when this team comes out.
Media B push. Bomb gonna go down. Gonna put a time restriction on Texas Tech, or excuse me, on the side of St. Edwards, as they wrap back on over towards the site. Over towards the docks. Thresh is gonna be looking for the shots onto the first player. About 38 seconds left. Not a kill off the board just yet.
St. Edwards not scrambling or rushing, just trying to find information. Player 6 here and Eon's looking to work around this backside of the map, but did he clear deep enough? Player 4 and Island might get the timing to wipe this player as 2 are going to fall in front of him. Make that 3. Island does get Eon's in the back, so as much as that's a great play, too much damage may have been done from the side of St. Edwards. The Thresh are going to hop on the defuse, and that should be the round for the St. Edwards squad.
And it will be. Beautiful kill there from Reality. Your win condition was to play all the way in the back of the building there. Try to go ahead and pick 1 or 2 players off the bomb while everybody else is trying to rain bullets your way. You do a nice job of being able to pick that up, though. You find all kills in quick succession. And then once Island's the last one alive all the way in the back there, all it takes is Reality to get a bit aggressive. And of course, falling off the roof did not help that party at all. So, quick offensive round and a hit over towards that B site. Worked initially, but when St. Edwards gets the guns moving and the players into position, it just is going to fall apart just as quickly as it started.
Reality on 3 in a row after that opening round, so something to keep an eye on, as streaks can be oh so critical in not only kills but information. On Berlin S&D, Thresh is gonna once again rush up mid-map, be aggressive, and make something happen here. Over on this A site, trying to clear it out for the squad, and playing behind Reality, trying to get those streaks. You're just gonna try to work some more information, maybe get a couple more picks, and look to get this bomb down.
Storm, big kill, came from behind. Eons, though, might be looking for the trade. Storm will hop on the windowsill. Shots there from Eon, and Reality will be good for 2 kills. 1 versus 3 here from Island. Now how good the Search and Destroy can be from this roster when you allow Island to expel. With that right there, you're going to be forced to back off. 45 seconds left. You're just going to be lucky to find 1 or 2 kills here, because SCU, they found themselves a perfect post-plant situation, and that final kill will solidify a round.
Up against this Texas Tech squad, St. Edwards has come out very strong and decisive in these opening 2 rounds. And if you're St. Edwards, technically maybe having a slight disadvantage in the way of Texas Tech and Search and Destroy, coming out and taking 2 rounds off the rip is only going to serve to help them later, as now Thresh is on 3 of his own. So really, Texas Tech, yeah, you may be the better S&D team being undefeated in a sense, but you've got to find a way to slow these players down. Don't let them get streaks, and definitely answer back in this round.
I'll say this, St. Edwards, if there's one thing they have, it's the ice for Search and Destroy. When they go to Game 5s, somehow, some way, they're always able to win their S&Ds. Map 2s can be a little shaky at times, but as Vanity holds the sniper in a long angle all the way over by the docks. Nice cheeky little nade tries to get one as they run out from the B site. Bomb goes down, 40 seconds left. A push here from St. Edwards to try and break back in.
All 4 arrows got the information from Vanity to work over to this B side as that information was relayed. The hit was coming in there, but possibly a response coming in from Texas Tech. Not only do they have a bomb down, but they also have the life advantage, as Reality is also going to fall to Sipe there. Ireland gets cut down in the back by Eons, but now that you know where this last player is, kill the time, and really Eons has 10 seconds to not only get these kills, but make a play on the bomb, and that's simply not going to happen. So if you're Texas Tech,
well,
you possibly make it happen here. Of course, I'm about to have to eat my words there as Eons. If anyone's going to make a play, it was definitely going to be them, but Texas Tech, they answered back well in their own offensive round.
Got close there at the end. Eons was looking to make a little bit of a play around the corner, tried to slide out, take Storm off the head glitch. I don't even know if Storm should have challenged that right there. I would have just loved to see you back up just a bit. But you take it, you go for the kill. You get players off of streaks on the side of St. Edwards, so nothing to worry about a little later on. Reality is really the one we're talking about, who was on 4 in a row. A 5th kill would have secured a glide bomb for St. Edwards. Bomb working its way over towards the A site. Eons is going to be the first one there, in towards around the side of the door. Shots are going to come in. Storm just going to play behind the desk.
Any kill Storm can get here are going to be huge for the team. So even though your first blood gets traded, that's still vital information for the team to say, hey, maybe try to work back towards this A side as bomb is going to go down. 3v3 retake coming in for Texas Tech. And I was going to say Zane was someone I was keeping an eye on, being at 0-3, now 0-4. Someone who had a slow hard point, also starting off here with a slow search and destroy. Definitely going to have to step up. It's going to have to be a well-balanced attack from a Texas Tech squad if they want to start to take the S&D like they should. But St. Edwards, clinical here on Berlin S&D. They're going to go up 3-1.
You don't get the first blood, but you get the instantaneous trade. You're able to put the bomb down after the fact, and then it's about just winning individual one-on-one gunfights. You do just that. And again, right after you go on a 4 streak, Reality is back, finding 2 in another round. It's a 3-1 advantage here if you are SCU. The Hilltoppers are marching on through the field. And more importantly than anything else, Texas Tech, you have Zane who's on Donut Watch. That's never a good thing. Island with a breadstick right now. Storm's with 4 kills, but it really hasn't amounted to all that much. Right now, you've just got a round to your name, hopefully looking to make it more. It's not over just yet, but SCU are playing so well. Bomb working its way over towards the A site. Player number 1's going to be there. Sipe trying to put it down.
We start to see the reaction out of St. Edwards. They've cleared out this B site. Now they know it has to be going down A, and just a wonderful pinch opportunity. It's almost like 4 corners of the map they can just collapse in on. And if these players in Texas Tech aren't ready for these gunfights, I expect the battle to definitely go the way of St. Edwards, and that's exactly how it's going to go. Zane now left in a 1v3 situation, looking to find any kill on the board to get anything going, but in a seemingly impossible task, he's going to fall. And once again, St. Edwards take 2 more rounds in a row to go up 4-1.
These rounds are just so quick, back and forth. St. Edwards, every single time that bomb has gone down, they've just been able to collapse on the point. Even the round where they didn't win and Texas Tech was able to get themselves an offense, it was almost a 1 versus 3 clutch that Eons had. If he had an extra maybe 3 to 4 seconds, he absolutely could have made that one stick. He just had to go for an over-aggressive gunfight over towards that B zone. So now you go back onto the offensive side. You really haven't lost any offenses thus far. Not many adjustments need to be made. What is the play call here, A or the B site?
I think you go A site. The first blood battle's been going your way, so you know behind Eon Stress Reality, name any 4 of these players, man. You know that bully ball strategy works because it's gone your way for the first 2 maps thus far, and Eon's is going to get around and behind these players with the bomb, really clearing everything out. Even though Sipe gets the first blood, again, this bully ball strat has worked thus far. You're up 4-1, so I think getting the bomb down and slaying out the side is going to be the play. Force Texas Tech to have to do a retake once again.
Interesting plant spot. You force yourselves back into the defender's spawn, but actually you flip the map perfectly with that kill that Vanity gets onto Zane. Sipe in the middle of the map will take down Eons. 2 versus 2. Stun check into P3. Won't find anything just yet. You slide back around. You're going to take this gunfight into the bottom double doors. Now right back up the staircase. 1 versus 2. Texas Tech really with their first good look at a round win here in quite some time. You look to the final player, going to be making their way into the middle of the map. Now up the staircase, but actually to the flank. You're going to peek the door open. Diffuse coming through. You got to look for the player who's on the bomb first and then go for the second kill if you want it. Vanity will find it, tries to turn on the Sipe. Is he going to be able to get it? This is going to be the closest call of the night thus far. Ticking Time bomb about to set off. Oh, he gets it with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. St. Edwards, what would have been an incredible clutch round, turns into a Texas Tech round win on defense that somehow allows Sipe to get that defused. That was incredible, but more importantly, that little slide there at the end saved the round.
It absolutely did, and attempting to put some life into this Texas Tech team, you avoid St. Edwards getting to match point. You take a round that was much needed, and now you just look to chip things away one round at a time here. Again, you let yourself avoid a situation where you didn't have any room for error. Sure, you have one round to throw away that you don't really want to, but you put yourself in a more favorable position than being down 5-1. So first blood going to go the way of St. Edwards again. How do Texas Tech look to respond? Zane's going to try to clear in and get a kill, and it is going to be 007 from him for now.
Well, that right there, that's what we call a Red Raider joining the agency. Around the corner, Sipe looks for a kill. And I mean, what else can we say good about reality as a player on St. Edwards right now? Another cheeky and pesky first blood allows them to get more information on the map, but again, have that man advantage on the defensive side that continuously allows them to push their agenda forward and be able to find these easy round wins. Kill after kill comes through after the fact. It's easy trades all the way down the board. 8-2 for Thresh, 8-4 for Reality, and of course 0-7 for Zane on the other side of things. Hopefully he is going to be eating well tonight because he surely will need it. One round win away here for St. Edwards as they look to bring the bomb over towards that B site.
I know the talking point coming into this was Thresh and Eons, right? These two players, you talk about the preseason report and just maps and games that they got in together, thinking that we're gonna have a different squad going into this, but really you can't knock on Reality and Vanity and how well they have stepped up and are just blossoming as the season goes on into their roles as what you could call supplemental players to the two that you have on this roster, and Thresh and Eons, but really just making statements of their own here as Reality at 10-4. Just putting an absolute stamp on this map and sheer dominance, and St. Edwards will close it out. So again, we touched on how well-rounded of a roster this is. I don't know if we need to say much more after these first two maps. This is a very complete team.
Reality, a massive search and destroy amounts to a 2-0 lead instead of the series, but a 6-2 win here on Berlin. The Battle of Berlin and the double dose that we had in maps 1 and 2 goes in favor of the Hilltoppers. They'll go ahead and again have a commanding 2-0 lead, looking to close things out in a 3-0 sweep. But Cash, the thing is, overall, from that match that we just saw, Texas Tech, they come into that with an undefeated search and destroy record. No more are they undefeated, and unfortunately, Zane will have a donut there to walk off into the sunset with. 0-8 inside of map number 2. The rest of the Texas Tech roster going to have to regroup for map number 3. We'll head to Gavutu for a control, but with how good the side of the Hilltoppers have been in respawn, specifically in the 2-0 record that they boast in control at current, it's going to be not only an uphill battle, but they'll have to beat the Billy Goats at their own game.
And it's going to have to be perfection from here on out, of course. Asking this Texas Tech team to pull off the reverse sweep is no easy feat, and you lose your undefeated mode in search and destroy. You've got to be feeling a little bit deflated. Of course, you know, with a loss here, probably not shaking too much up in the standings. Again, you still want to give your best effort, and of course, this Texas Tech team is still going to come out and attempt to pull off the reverse sweep. But with having an S&D loss like that, after being undefeated prior to that, it's definitely going to be hard to shake that and come into this control. But they're going to give their best effort, and St. Edwards, again, with how dominant they've been, like you mentioned, in respawns and slaying thus far tonight, and then control for what we've seen, they want to make it an early night. They want to wrap things up for us quickly.
Number 7, St. Edwards up 2-0 on their divisional opponent, Texas Tech. For Texas Tech, this is pretty much the last noteworthy opponent that they have inside of the first couple of weeks of the season. After this, they basically are going to at least secure themselves top 3-4 seed, at least you'd hope going forward, but still a decently easy schedule for St. Edwards after this as well. So as we get ready to set up Gavutu for map number 3, St. Edwards again with a 2-0 lead over the side of Texas Tech. It could be potentially the final map of this best of 3 series. If you are just joining us here from the side of Alpha, welcome. This is the Bravo channel. If you haven't been here before, go ahead and hit that follow button as well. We are here live every single time. The Alpha stream is live as well. So when both of them are going on, or tomorrow when you're watching College COD once again, go ahead and have both the streams tabbed open, because there's a lot of College COD that is played every single week here. But more importantly, when you're watching both, you're getting more Call of Duty action. Either way, map number 3, when we come back from a break, my name is Aquarmo. That's Cash. We'll be back in just a minute. Quick break and we're back here for the St. Edwards and Texas Tech Best of 5 series. Again, as we said before the break, a 2-0 lead for the Hilltoppers, and one more map on Gavutu control could very well see them not only extending their undefeated record overall this season in terms of series, but of course knocking Texas Tech down a peg inside of their own division, while also giving themselves a much clearer-minded advantage going towards the rest of the season, where they can essentially go on cruise control and truly focus on what they need to hone in the most out of everything, and just make sure everything is all flushed out and concrete when we get to that next portion of the season after stage 1.
Yeah, St. Edwards taking care of business and doing more than they need to, putting on a clinic thus far that we have seen tonight. And if you're Texas Tech, it really feels like you've turtled up in a way, right? You know that this St. Edwards team is good. You know they're going to come out and take shots, as we see here in our maps and modes. St. Edwards have done that. They've come out dominantly and taken the shots that they need. Texas Tech, they have to find a way to be able to respond if they want to keep this series hope alive. We're going to go to a Gavutu Troll next, where, again, we can see this Texas Tech team start to spark life, right? They can start to try to get that gun warm and start slaying, getting that in their favor, but it could be too little too late based on how heavily they've let St. Edwards come out and outslay them. It might just be too little too late, and I think they've turtled up, unfortunately, at the wrong moment whenever they really could have risen up to the competition tonight and made a statement.
Look, we've seen a lot of reverse sweeps, but this would have to be one of the greatest reverse sweeps, not only ever, but of course, with St. Edwards having that number 7 ranking, it carries a lot of, I guess, gumption with it, but it carries a coveted title. And now that's not to say that number 7 is the most concrete ranking for St. Edwards, but when a team is able to be ranked at that high stature, it definitely shows what the team has been able to at least do over the course of the early season, and what that means for teams that are going to be matching up against them. For Texas Tech, we said at this beginning, we don't think this is necessarily a bad team whatsoever. Could they be caught on a bad day? Sure. Is it just a very difficult matchup in St. Edwards? Absolutely. So as we go forward into this Gavutu control, we said beforehand, 2-0 is the Hilltoppers in this mode, and specifically on this map, they've been able to win it once overall. As we see it against the side of Texas Tech, they were 1-1. They've lost one, obviously, in relatively low fashion. The win that they had was a 3-2 win overall. So now we look to control here on Gavutu, which could potentially end our best of 5 series with a 3-0 sweep, and the broomsticks coming out for the Hilltop.
It's going to be St. Edwards on offense to open things up for us. And as we see on Gavutu control, you just try to get some mid-map clearance. Try to get presence felt, and we see Storm and Island swinging around, making plays, trying to get in the spawn of these St. Edwards players, as they are going to have already one ticket progression in at this A site before Texas Tech can even get in and make a statement about it. Going to go 3 for 1 in the kill feeds and still have control here on this vote, and Texas Tech have to find themselves trying to stop the rest of this time from coming in. Second ticket progression in. Now being down lives as well, or excuse me, being up lives, they still bode an advantage, but they've got to make a break, and it's St. Edwards already working towards this B site.
Hard to break over towards B if you are the offensive team, but not even a reaction here from the side of Texas Tech until very late. You see player number 4 starting to make the rotation on over, but as the player from Texas Tech started to make the rotation, it was really nothing else except a couple of guns and unfortunate kills that do go the way. Actually, at the top of the screen, St. Edwards is going to be on the left, Texas Tech on the right. So, colors are correct. However, the actual names at the top aren't. We will get that fixed for you in just a moment. But, as quickly as they got the A zone, they found their way over towards B. It was player number 8 who was actually at the point first, and they never looked back.
Where teams can find the most success on that B zone is whenever you can, of course, get someone in it, which, takes 45 seconds to solo capture, but really getting 1 or 2 players in that and then zoning out beyond that point to pin the defensive team back in their spawns and just render them unable to get over there. And, of course, a team like St. Edwards is definitely going to be able to get something like that done. That's what they do here, and they're going to go up 1-0 to kick things off for us. Can Texas Tech respond? Or on offense, are they going to let St. Edwards, or on defense, are they going to let St. Edwards outslay him and dominate here? We'll find out as the opening break is going on this A side.
Well, there we go. Colors on the top of the screen, names and logos all correct. First blood going to Vanity yet again here. 4 in a row for Eons, though, on the side of St. Edward. Player number 1 pushed decently far up the map. see him slide in and around the corner, but the hipfire killed there with the automaton from Zane is going to be able to find one. Trade back and forth, though, is going to be a 3-to-1 trade for St. Edwards. Over towards the B site, though, you've already got your first tick of progress if you're Texas Tech. So as we said beforehand, it's very difficult to get progress over towards that B zone. Right now, Thresh, unfortunately, wasn't able to get there in time. They allow a bit of progress to come through, but a streak is earned in the process.
Like you'd mentioned, you give up one tick of progression, but you earn a streak, and that's something that can put this team away here. So you're not too mad about it because they also have no progression at A. So with a minute left, you don't have any progress at A, only one ticket beat, and now the collapse is coming in from St. Edwards here as they progress across this 50-yard line. If you were to draw one right down the middle of the map, St. Edwards trying to press and pin these Texas Tech players back in this bottom left-hand side spawn. Texas Tech, with one person left at this A site, have to try to get some semblance of control on this boat. Players are going to start floating down now, but as these players for St. Edwards have to cross, they should be relaying that information and cutting these players down any time. But if you're Texas Tech, you do get a little bit of clearance here on this A site, you stack it, and you start getting some progress.
Right now, if you're St. Edwards, you're dwindling lives off the clock island inside of the bottom of the ship. We'll go ahead and find that second tick of progress for Texas Tech. Streak going to be called in, though. Over through the top. Thresh will find one onto Zane. Not going to be enough to stop the progress of the A zone, but at least for now, you have full control of that north portion of the map. If you take a look at your mini-map right now, too, you'll see player number 1 in Eons, as well as player number 2, starting to push in towards the spawn side that Texas Tech was making their way through. They were trying to flank back over towards the B site. They said absolutely not. They shut it down. Zane through the middle of the map will find one, but with a minute and 15 seconds left, they're going to have 2 to 3 good pushes on Texas Tech to really make it stick over towards B. Good news is, of course, as we mentioned beforehand, you only have to go ahead and find 2 ticks.
Having that early progression, definitely going to be something that works in favor of Texas Tech if they are able to get over there, but like you'd mentioned, and players like Eon who are up at ring controlling that part of the map, it's just going to be that much harder to get across and over to this B site. You said you had 1 or 2 more pushes, but that's really if you find the gunfights over on that B side, and St. Edwards is going to bring the gunfights to you right out of your spawn. So at this, if they get one more clean wipe, they're really going to have one more push. We see some players pressed up here. Reality, trying to cut off these players that are spawning up, hoping teammates can do the rest, but it's going to be player 5, Sipe. Last one up to be able to make a play. Is the timing going to work out to get the kill? It is. So as you have this clearance, you're maybe able to work over here, but your teammates are dropping all around you, and there's really not much else you can do as it's the last 2 lives.
You've won yourself an offense. You're about to win yourselves a defense. Take a 2-0 lead here in the control, just like you have the series. Sipe looking all the way to the back. It'd be a 1 versus 10. You got 4 in a row. Right now, this would just be for streaks. With 5 in a row there, it's going to be enough for a glide bomb. So you walk away with a consolation prize of a streak in the back pocket to use at a later date. You have some reinforcements and utility to use. Other than that, though, you're still down 0-2. It's going to have to be not only a defensive round win and stopping a very aggressive Hilltoppers roster that has found already 2 quick rounds on an offense and a defense, but more importantly, having to win an offense after that fact if you're able to win this defense.
You get the consolation prize in the glide bomb, but reality on 7 of his own. So if you need a response, if you're St. Edwards, you have it right there. And Texas Tech, like you said, have to go more than massive here. A reverse sweep in the control to kick off a reverse sweep in the series. And right now, it just feels like too tall of a task for this Texas Tech team. They've just come out tonight a bit too slow and clammed up for what they were thought coming into this, being able to play up to competition. Again, it's not over yet, of course. There's still control left to be played, and they're going to try to make a stand. But the St. Edwards team, with how dominant they're looking, and reality sitting at 19-8, Eons at 11-5, you can't help but think that they're just going to run away with this one and really close things out.
Well, the thing is, coming into this, you know, the Texas Tech keys to victory were stop Thresh, stop the Sporting Cast. Well, they've stopped Thresh, at least for the moment, and have kind of made him a non-factor in the series in terms of the pop-off factor, but you've left Reality, Vanity, and Eons all on the table and have allowed them to absolutely not only find their way around the map, but slay out in an alarming pace. First tick of progress going to be through on the A site. A streak now for Eons, but you have to look at Reality more specifically than anybody else. Through maps number 1 and 2, were the dominant force and played an incredible role at finding map wins. And of course, here in map number 3, nothing short of spectacular, as Eons will find number 6 in a row and find full streaks.
A nearly complete 2.5 ticks coming in. Player going to get killed off of B as well. So 45 seconds left. Neither point captured if you're St. Edwards, though. If you're Texas Tech, maybe a small win there. You've really got to hold these players off, and being down 6 lives, that doesn't help you in any sense. But if Island can get ring control here, that could thwart a B hit from the St. Edward's squad, and this should be the A progression here. Is Vanity and co gonna look to get this one done? If Reality can make a play here up at this B side, unfortunately unable to. This should definitely be the round. Eons are gonna look to open things up with the streak to start.
You get the player on the northmost portion of the map. You can make your way over towards the flat gun, but you want to push your way through the middle of the map to be able to not only influence these spawns on the side of Texas Tech, but just weaken these defenses that they have, making their pushes. Reality tried to go for the second. Sipe only is able to survive with 6 HP to his name. Nade over the top, looking back over towards the side of the flat gun. 3 quick kills come in from Texas Tech, so this is a good start of being able to not only push your way up the map, starting to influence spawns, but this is a great way to start getting those lives even back down. Still a 5-life disparity between the two teams, with the offense still having an advantage, but with 54 seconds left, tons of time to be able to win some crucial one-on-one gunfights.
If I'm going to have a life disadvantage in control, I want it to be on the defensive side of Gavatu, because you can definitely make a hold with those close spawns, and with the time to hike across the map being a factor, all you need to do is hold off one more hit. But as 3 players get onto this B point and no respawns remaining for the Texas Tech squad, they're really going to have to wipe and then advance and hold these players off without losing a life. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to, as now St. Edward's going to get this last tick of progression once they clear off this player in Sipe. But Sipe gonna make things mixy for the moment and say, not that easily. The 3 of us are gonna hold you off. Now they have 30 seconds left. St. Edward's either have to slay out these last 3 players or really have one more hit at this. Texas Tech gonna give it their best effort.
Would be a 3 versus 9. Storm's in the middle of the map. Island's going to be able to find one, making it a lot closer. 4 versus 3. 17 seconds left. The player flanking all the way back around through the spawn is now cut off. You've got to be able to go ahead and step on this point. You've got to go ahead and stop the timer. But Island's going to be all on the beach. 3 in a row. You look at the last 2 players coming through the middle of the map. 1 versus 3 from Reality. He's been a superstar so far. Has found one with the pistol, but somehow Texas Tech keep themselves alive, get their first round on the board, and execute in a 3 versus 9, albeit it was over at the B side on Kavutu, but you can't take anything away from that. That was an incredible second half performance there, and more importantly, those 3 players just went absolutely massive.
Life sparked into this Texas Tech squad. Island sitting at 16 and 16. Sipe at 18 and 17. We said Island was going to be the X-Factor player for the squad if they were going to make a run against this team. And on a 3 streak, Sipe at a 4. If you can get 2 streaks off the rip here for this opening break on this defensive pull, or on this offensive attack, it's definitely something that could open this round up and give you an advantage. If Storm is going to take the first blood. Gonna go for a 3-man hit on this B site, and again, Texas Tech showing life. They're trying to get something worked here, trying to get a progression over a B.
Love the double hit early on over towards this B zone. Island with a second kill streak going to come in over the top. You look over towards the ship. You're going to be able to find another one. That's 4 down, 29 to 25. Halfway through the progress on the second tick at the B zone. Island from around the corner going to pop off Thresh's forehead. And now it's another streak going to be called in. Nothing going to be found with it, but backs off the players from St. Edward's. Second tick of progress. 6 in a row from Island. More streaks to use from Texas Tech. The Red Bandits are finding their stride here in control at the most important point. 2 ticks of progress have already gone through.
And if they could get this captured, that would just be monumental for the squad. As Sipe's going to be in the back, and these players aren't going to be aware. In St. Edward's, now someone at ring being Thresh, going to turn around, try to find this player, but it's going to be Sipe working the pinch back on this A side to try to help out the team. And if you are Texas Tech, you have to find a way to close out this B point or get complete clearance on A. You cannot let St. Edward start to slay out like we just saw 4 down in the feed. This puts them back in that spawn position. St. Edward is pressed up on the map, and well, unless these streaks can open things up for you, you might have just costed yourself.
Texas Tech, they are not willing to go down without a fight. Zane looks to the front of the ship. First bit of progress over at A. You now make your way into the spawn side of the defense, looking for a few quick kills, but unfortunately the only thing you meet is your death, as Eons is able to find a double on the players that making their push up the map. Eons goes for number 4 in a row. Turning back around towards the north side of the map, making sure nobody can slip through over towards B. You don't want to give up progress at that B zone, but with only 25 seconds left, now your last push over towards the bottom of the ship is here. You've just got to get to one of the sites to stop the time, stop the bleeding. 16 to 9 overall. Eons around the corner will go for number 7 in a row. Why not make it number 9 as a player comes off the spawn? Reality, the streak from above. 10 seconds remaining. Storms is there. 4 lives remaining from Texas Tech, and despite a 3 versus 9, at the end of the last round that gave them the life and the opportunity to come back with a blazing offensive try and assault over towards the B site early on. It's St. Edwards who will clutch up, complete the 3-0 series sweep, and they'll stay undefeated here in CCL.
What was a valiant effort from Texas Tech. It seems like when St. Edwards wanted to clear out the point, they did just that. The kill feed going all blue for the latter half of that round. Texas Tech, they tried, got a little bit warm. Again, players in Island getting warm there and definitely making a valiant effort. Sipe as well, trying to make things happen for the team. And it's just going to be the dominance, the well-balanced gameplay from St. Edwards that's going to push them over the edge to take this not only in a 3-1 fashion and control, but a 3-0 series overall. And like you said, remain undefeated in the CCL, sitting at that number 7 spot.
Fun match overall. We'll take a look at the statistics one more time. Reality 35-17 over double positive here on Gavutu. I mean, the scoreboard and statistics speak for themselves, but if there's anything that we can go back and at least see from maps number 1 and 2, it was Reality who played not only a pivotal part, but the most crucial part at giving St. Edwards multiple map wins. The Hilltoppers absolutely needed the performance and step up out of Reality from this series, and that's exactly what they got. Not everybody else was able to have the most influential games in terms of maps number 1 and 2, but I mean, I just kind of want to give this moment to Reality, and overall, my MVP of this series, at least for SCU. I'm sure many of you would agree as well. And Cash, I'm sure you're in that boat too.
I'm definitely in the Reality boat, and I'm hopping on the bandwagon as far as what these players can do. Again, we touched on how they were supposed to be that supplemental role, but we saw Reality take over, and really it was Reality's night to shine. In every map and mode that we saw, it was Reality who led the leaderboard, wasn't scared of objective time, and was really just getting it all done for the team. So a great team performance out of SCU for them to take this one in a 3-0 fashion, and again, led by a player who, yeah, Thresh was muted, and you technically got a win in Texas Tech by keeping Thresh's impact on the map pretty minimal. But at the end of the day, when you have 3 other players that can step up and pop off at any time, it's just hard to have an answer for all of them.
St. Edwards, they'll stay undefeated. The number 7 roster showing why that they're ranked as high as they are in terms of the CCL standings. Texas Tech, again, you get knocked down a peg, but it's really nothing to walk away sad from. You face an incredibly difficult roster. Now you can go back and you can find some of the things that you need to do in order to resurrect not only your season, but of course, just your mindset from this game, what you can do going forward, and of course, how many adjustments and what adjustments you can make leading up to not only the second stage, but into playoffs. Overall, though, that's going to end it here for the Bravo stream. Tomorrow, we have another slew of incredible matches here for the CCL. On the Alpha stream, Michigan Esports, Davenport Panthers, that's at 7:30 Eastern, followed by Florida Gulf Coast University versus Full Sail Armada at 9, then KSU COD versus Georgia Southern to end things out at 10:30. On the Bravo stream, WVU PCSC Esports goes up against Concord, Army West Point then versus FSC, and then finally Florida State versus UT Chattanooga to end off the week of the CCL. As I said beforehand, though, we've got plenty of matches coming up tomorrow. We've got a lot more CCL coming your way. That's going to do it for tonight, at least for us, though. My name is McCormiel. Alongside with me was Cash. It's been a pleasure hosting you here for the CCL on the Bravo stream. Hopefully you'll join us back here tomorrow, not only on the Bravo stream, but the Alpha stream as well. Stay safe. Have a fantastic night. We'll see you for tomorrow's Day 2 coverage of Week 4 of the CCL.